Hi, welcome back to the Multi-Unit Mastery Monday, where we are doing a video series on the multi-unit franchising conference that happened earlier this year. And today we are going to be addressing part 7, which was the presentation on the state of the franchise industry as if it was presented by FRANDATA and Daryl Johnson. FRANDATA, something that is a company that if you are in the franchise world, you should know about. They are an organization focused on gathering, analyzing, and sharing market intelligence in the franchise industry. They do this across 230 industries and over 4,000 brands. They have been around for, I believe, a couple of decades, and they are dedicated to the analysis of data in the franchise industry. So every year at this conference, I actually look forward to this particular session because it is very informative, eye-opening, and I think it's something that all franchise leaders need to be aware of and understand so that you and I can make better decisions in our businesses and our future, every day, as we are going through and operating our businesses. And so I am going to do my best to share this information. This type of analysis and knowledge is not obviously my sweet spot in knowledge and experience, but I think it is something that it is important that I share with you so that you are aware of what is their perspective and what to look forward to and prepare for so that you can protect your business and make the right decisions, because whatever comes, if you have the knowledge and you can make the proper decisions to prepare for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The overall theme that Mr. Daryl shared was that while we have a good start to the recovery from the pandemic, it is complicated what's coming, which means that while we are doing better, there are a lot of things that are happening that we are already aware of, but I'm going to share more specific information about so that you know what to prepare for as things evolve. So first of all, he gave us a complete view or overall view of the world and the U.S. Economy. And apparently, as we are entering 2022, the world economy, it is definitely in a weaker position than people thought or expected earlier last year. And obviously, that's something that we know that because a lot of things have happened that had changed what the initial perspective was. Obviously, the elevated inflation, which apparently is his opinion, that it will persist longer than expected. We thought it was going to be, a few months here and there, and that we were going to quickly recover. But there are many things that are happening that is preventing that from happening, and you should expect a much longer term in the situation. In general terms, in the GOP of the world versus the US is something that is an indicator of what's to come. 2021, the world in general finished with a GDP of 5.9%, while the US ended up at a 5.6%. 2022 now is expected that the world GDP is going to be about 4.4%, therefore slowing down. And the US is going to be pretty close to about 4.0%. So as you can see, 2021 and 2022 were very similar in average with the world and the US. However, the perspective and projections for 2023 is a little bit different. Apparently, the world GDP is projected to be at a 3.8% worldwide, while the US is going to be at around 2.6%. So as you can see, there's a significant slowdown when it comes to the United States and what's happening, here. And there are specific things that are impacting our economy that we need to be aware of. The key domestic issue is inflation. And domestic, I mean the United States. Our key issue is inflation. 2022 is obviously worse than last year due to the significant supply chain issues that has been worsened by Ukraine. There are a lot of things in our country that we are depending on imports, and Ukraine is one of the places where Ukraine and Russia is two of the places where we imported a lot of our products. And for that reason, we are going to be much more negatively impacted than the average country in the world. The US CPI inflation is going to be this year an average of 7.9% for the whole year. So, and even though I know that at that point we were only a quarter into it, the projections were already in for this year at almost 8%. And all of this is compounded by the labor shortages that we are experiencing in the US, and we know that. I have clients and people that I know across the world, and while some of them are experiencing a little bit of the issues, it is nowhere near the challenges that we are experiencing here in the US when it comes to labor shortages. This tight labor market is impacting our businesses and our industry here in franchising. I'm going to give you a couple of statistics that Daryl shared at the conference. And he said 37% of franchisors said that they have slowed down growth due to labor issues. 39% in general businesses are facing retention issues. So it's not just the hiring of employees that is being a challenge, but retaining them at work is also being a challenge. 88% of franchisors say that they are unable to find skilled and unskilled labor. So it's not only at the front lines, first job employees, but also in the offices and the headquarters of qualified people to, operate the franchise brands. 3.9% is the average increase in pay that has been reported throughout 2021 and going into this year. And he says that 50% of small business owners are forced to have to raise prices. And I'm surprised that it's 50%, because when it comes to our clients, we know that they all have, most of them have done it. And because with the level of inflation that is happening, the only way you had two choices. I either increase prices to cover the increase in prices and increase in labor rates, or you end up finding eroding your bottom line, and you cannot put the health of your business at risk. So one of the results of all of this is not only because of what is happening, but what is seemed to be believed to be continuing for a long term, is that many companies are now turning into artificial intelligence and other high-tech solutions for businesses. And I'm seeing this a lot in many places, in many industries, including food service. So we're going to find ourselves with technology substituting a lot of these jobs that people are just not willing to take. Now, there are some jobs that it is going to be very hard to be done, substituted. But in the meantime, anything else that can probably will in the next months and years. There are also, he shared the supply chain hurdles that are happening in the industry. 45% of small businesses are having supply delays. We see that everywhere. I know a couple of brands that, simply were out of the key components for days and weeks at a time, which was, shocking. And it just makes you realize the impact of what's happening. Also, 47% of small businesses are passing the cost to consumers. And that's just a reality, because if you don't pass those costs to the consumers, then obviously you are just eroding your bottom line and putting the health of your business at risk. And that is something that, if you are a smart business person, you need to be on top of your numbers and your information so that you can make the right decisions, which is why the session that I had last week on customer service and make the price of your product irrelevant by balancing that increased pricing to your consumers with an excellent experience, so that they can not only accept it but still choose you for it, is going to be critical for you as a business owner. The biggest issue is when it comes to supply chain is a low shipping capacity. A lot of issues we hear about, all the boats and the containers stuck in the ports. Global supply chain issues in general, and now hearing that there is another wave or issues going on in China. There is concern of what is the impact going to be for all of the supply chain from there going forward. And of course, labor shortages. All of this, not only labor shortages in our businesses, but also labor shortages in the supply chain, from truckers to warehouse employees, that affect the supply chain availability. The product might be there, but if there's no people to process them and deliver them, it's going to be it's challenging for the industry. And of course, the inventory shortages and inflation increasing with the increasing cost of goods and reducing the margins, like I mentioned, is a very, big challenge. Then he went in to talk about consumer spending. He said that there is large consumer spending in 2022 expected, driven by retail, e-commerce, and automobiles. I know that firsthand, in my family. Supported by, and all of this high consumer spending is supported by the fact that there has been a massive amount or increase in savings that is now available for spend, and a strong wage growth, because a lot of people have been increasing the pay rates of the employees. The employees have now a larger amount of money accessible to be able to spend, especially money that was not spent in the last couple of years. So first quarter of this year is expected to be larger than before, or larger than expected. However, this is creating a lot of price pressures going forward, and it might turn this consumer spending might turn and go down in the rest of the year. And most of it is going to be due to the fact that the Fed is increasing interest, and therefore, and they're doing that to slow inflation, and that is what's going to slow down also consumer spending. Another part of the risk about when it comes to consumer spending is the unknown of potential future virus variants, and the Ukraine war, and the impact that that's going to have across the world and the country. A lot of these predictions right now are still complicated to be able to be firm, as he was sharing, due to so many things that are happening that were not expected to happen, and are causing different impacts in spending, access to cash, and just the economy in general. So right now, consumer sentiment or confidence is going down, and the projection is that it will continue. While it was very healthy in the first quarter, it is expected to be going down in the next 3 quarters of this year. So then he turned specifically into the state of franchising specifically, and he summarized it with the phrase "growth with caution." Very interesting that how our franchise industry is changing in how decisions are made, or what's happening with the growth. Apparently, 2021 revenue increased a huge 16.3% over prior year. Obviously, we're talking about over 2020, which is a pandemic year, but still 2021 was a healthy increase of 16.3%. And that is that the growth in the industry is expected to continue, which was pretty big in 2021. It is expected to continue on 2022, but with a slower pace than what happened last year. A lot of the people last year were able to take advantage of a lot of opportunities that opened up, after the as we were entering 2021 from the pandemic of 2020. A lot of things came to a halt in 2020, but a lot of issues and people having challenges with their business open opportunities for others to then grow in 2021. That growth will continue this year. However, it's going to slow at a slower pace because of so many things that are still unknown. The unit growth in 2021 reached a plus 2.2%, ending up at 792,000 franchise units last year, domestic in the United States. That was an increase of 17,000 units in 2021. That was a tremendous growth that happened last year. Also, franchisor employment grew at 3.1%. franchise employment grew at 3.1%, which put us almost at a pre-pandemic level. So even though we are almost at the pre-pandemic level of employment, because we have increased sales, we're still not catching up with the labor needed to be able to cover that and the consumer demand. And the pandemic had a very uneven impact in the franchise industry. A lot of the businesses that had to do with commercial or residential services benefited and are still benefiting from the pandemic, while QSR and casual dining absorbed a lot of the shock of the pandemic with the help of the government and the PPP loans, etc. However, there was a lot of cleansing in the food industry because of people that were not prepared, that were not able to get ahead and take advantage of the opportunities that the government was providing. And it created a cleansing of a lot of people that were not prepared or not financially or managerially prepared or savvy to overcome the pandemic. And so lodging obviously took a big hit during that whole the whole last 2 years, and is still turning around, trying to recover from it. Right now, one of the things that he said is that rising costs are expected to hang around for a while. There is no clarity as to when the supply chain and increasing costs and gasoline costs is going to be able to get under control and turn around. And so his big tip or guidance for all of you, for us, is that we need to prepare for a long-term rise in increase of cost of goods. And you have to take that into consideration within your budgeting and your financial plans for the next year or two. The level of importance of knowing your numbers, understanding your business, and how to make better decisions, in not only the right decisions, but at the right time, has gone to a whole new level. And so before, knowing this information and making those decisions, it was about increasing your profitability. Now it's actually about being able to ensure your survival and overcoming of these tough challenges at times. And if you have that information, if you know your business and understand this information, you can make the adjustments and be okay. But it is no longer a passive choice. It really is something that you have to proactively know, understand, and be on top of. So he continued to say that labor pain across the entire franchise model is still here and is going to be here for a while. At the beginning, we thought, it was all because of the government was giving so many benefits, and as soon as the benefits ran out, people are going to come back to work. And then we thought, hey, people were comfortable at home and looking for options, and once that's over, they're going to come back to work. And the reality is that while staffing is improving, it is still nowhere near where it needs to be, so that operations and leadership can be and operate at the optimal level. So something that you need to be aware of and look inwards to your organization to see what can you do to be able to become an employer of choice. Challenges with growth, 78% believe that staffing levels is still a considerable constraint or is slowing down growth plans simply because of the lack of staffing. And so, that is a big issue. And one of the things that he said is not just about the amount of staffing that is needed, but the quality of staffing that people are looking for is just not there. And my perspective is, I wonder if it's, when he said quality, I think it's because people are not keeping the loyalty or commitment towards the companies they're working for. And so turnover is a significant issue. People are just not staying. Then he turned his conversation into access to capital. And because obviously we need to talk about where is the world in general terms, where is specifically our franchise industry in the United States. And now, access to capital is a third piece that is required to know where growth is going to come from. And he says access to capital continues to be strong, and there are deals to be have in the market. However, lenders are wary about what's happening in the industry and the economy in general. And that uncertainty is really requiring of a lot more information, a lot more data to be able to make those, lending decisions. And so, one of the things that happened in 2021 was that it was a record year for mergers and acquisitions, which those increased 81% year over year. 141 franchise brands changed ownerships. 141 franchisors, imagine, changed ownership last year versus about 80 also the year before. And one of the things that I think is interesting about all this is because it happened in 2021 after almost a year of going through this pandemic situation. And a lot of owners and organizations and leadership, the warriors that went through the pandemic times, that at the after a year or year and a half of going through it, they were either just plain tired or nearly broke. And so that was something that I believe private equities looked at as a huge opportunity for them to go back and pick up a lot of these organizations that have grown and became small chains, emerging brands that were good models, that once this whole challenge is going over, we're going to be good opportunities. And I believe that's where all these mergers and acquisitions happened. There were opportunities for those people that were prepared for them. Private equity ended up with many high profile deals, particularly in residential services and QSR. I heard of a lot of brands that were sold for sure. My only concern, this is a side note from me. My only concern with all these private equity acquisitions, I mean, I understand that they are looking for deals, and it was an opportunity, obviously. My only concern is what is going to be the impact of the culture of those brands. I mean, I know I participated in some of those type of acquisitions in the past, not recently, but in the past as an executive in these global brands. And the culture of the companies took a hit, and when you impact the culture of these brands, we're here's where the passion and the love and the commitment for these brands and these products come from. There's an impact. How's it measured? I don't know, but that's my only concern. And I think that it would be very smart of these brands to really look at the leadership of these organizations and see who is going to continue to take that that torch of that brand and that excitement for the future, even though it's under new ownership. Just a side comment. Private equity, it continues aggressive expansions through 2022. They trust the franchise model. I mean, the franchise model has been proven to be successful to overcome significant challenges, as we have seen in recent years, and they see the strength, and for that reason, the trust, and they're just looking for deals. So if you are emerging franchisor looking to sell your organization, this is a good time to look at that. All right. So the next thing that Daryl was mentioning in this presentation is the amount of opportunities that exist right now for multi-unit deals. It's true that private equities are looking at multi-unit organizations. They are acquiring small and emerging brands. But the same thing for franchisees, existing franchisees. There's a lot of opportunity for multi-unit deals to get, capture areas of development or areas that already exist, package deals, lots of that going on. And franchisors are significantly backing the consolidation of their brand on their multi-unit operations. I've seen it. I know it personally from a couple of our clients that their brand has approached them specifically to acquire other units under their umbrella. When you have proven operators that are doing a good job with a few of the units, the franchisor looks at them in a positive way and encourages them to grow multi-unit within the same organization, because obviously for a franchisor it's a win-win, since they now can focus the support on one franchisee versus a lot of franchisees with single unit operations. And so definitely is a huge push for that multi-unit growth, which, by the way, it is the reason why the multi-unit franchising conference was so big. And for what I hear, next year is going to be even bigger. So definitely the push for the multi-unit is huge. This continued through the 2022, and I don't see that slowing down. Also, a lot of franchisees are going into multi-unit and multi-brand. Obviously, they're diversifying to protect the portfolio, which totally makes sense. That's how we speak about Mumbos. Remember, multi-unit, multi-brand. They're going to be continue to grow and become larger. And so, and again, is diversifying is a way to protect the portfolio and being able to confront any future challenges. All right, so the next part of Mr. Darrell presentation was about underwriting and access to capital, and the demand is increasing over 2021. 2021, a lot of the growth was brought by some of the winnings, so I say, of some of the brands that occurred over the pandemic. But in 2022, there is going to be a lot more demand of underwriting. And the thing is, though, that borrowing is getting more and more expensive, especially now with the Fed increasing interest rates. If you are looking to grow, if you're looking to get loans to be able to have that growth, this is the moment for you to negotiate, because the rates are going to go up. Obviously, lenders are more cautious, and because they cannot see the balance sheets of last year as a reliable source of information, because a lot of those are have been propped up, I guess, by some of the government support and financial backing. And so, those numbers do not truly reflect proper operations, and that is one of the reasons why lenders are very cautious about who they are lending money to. So some of the things that the lenders are looking at, in case you are looking or you're going to be looking for some underwriting or some access to capital or loans, they are looking at the brand you belong to. They're looking at the brand you selected to grow with, and they're going to look at their system unit success by franchise brand. They're also going to be looking at the industry specific challenges like labor cost, supply chain dependence, startup costs, and things like that, to make a decision about whether or not you're a qualified borrower. They are currently very concerned about the defaults that are coming. They believe, bank industry believes that a lot of the people that should have failed over the pandemic that didn't because of the government support are still going to be at risk of failing. And for that reason, they are going to be very cautious about who they give money to. They feel that the money that they have right now on those balance sheets do not reflect, the right operations. And if you don't have proper operations, the PPP money could have, helped you along the way, but in the long term, especially with the current labor challenges and the current supply chain challenges, if you're not a good operator, it's going to be very hard for you to overcome that. And that's why they're looking at all those things. FRANDATA created what is called a brand fund score. And that fund score is a reflection of three parts. One part is the overall franchisees results in the system, in the brand system, the overall franchisor performance on growth, and also the unit economics of that brand. And from those information, if you want to know more of the details of what they look at, you can go to frandata.com and see the information. But in that fund score is what a lot of banks are using now to determine who is going to get loans or not. So if you are looking for a franchise, and if you are looking at making a decision on what franchise to get into, you may want to find out what is that franchisor's fund score, because the lender is going to look at that to determine whether you're going to be able to get that underwriting or not. Some of the positive industries that they look at is anything pet related. Apparently, is one of the best scores. Food, depending on the type of food, but food is absolutely something that can overcome, has proven to be able to overcome economic challenges. Also, building and construction has been seen in a positive way. Anything with child care or child education, and automotive. So those are the areas that are being in the positive side of the fund score. So bottom line, you need to be able to know or choose the right franchise store to be in. You need to be able to be very knowledgeable on how to operate your business and know your numbers, know your information, so that you can participate and qualify for that access to capital to grow. The opportunities for growth are here. The opportunities for multi-unit, especially, so that you can then protect your overall business and diversify if need be to protect your portfolio. And one of the things that is going to help you do that is to make sure that you have a healthy credit score. Bottom line, if you are a 650 to 750, you can get some access of positive capital at a good price. If you have 750 or higher, it's even better. And again, at the end, you need to have clean and clear financials that you can speak to, understand, and be able to demonstrate your ability to have a proper return on the investment that you're going to make and that the potential bankers are going to make for you to grow. So that's in general terms what Mr. Daryl Johnson shared from FRANDATA.com. A lot of information, very interesting. He wished he had better information or news for us. The reality is that we need to be clear that the challenges that we're having right now are not going to go away anytime soon. So mentally prepare yourself for it, prepare your business for it, understand your business, and plan for it for the next year or two, if not three, to be careful, to be knowledgeable, and make the right decisions to keep your business healthy. All right. So if you are looking for information on how you can learn how to do all these things, come on and check us out at the American Franchise Academy.com, where we specialize in helping franchisees understand their business, understand the numbers, and make better decisions so that you can have a healthy business. Thank you for being with me in this session, part number 7 of the Multi-Unit Franchising Conference. And we'll see you next week with what I believe is the last session for this review of the Multi-Unit Franchising Conference, where we share information in case you missed it so that you can still take advantage of a little bit of that knowledge and take care of your business. All right. Thank you. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same place in this live broadcast. And by the way, if you are in a YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel so that you can not miss sessions like this, and check out all the future and past videos that we have with lots of information to help you be successful. All right. See you next week and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.